Hello all, welcome to auratrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about control structures in PL by SQL. In earlier session, we discussed about how do we declare simple variables in PL by SQL. In this particular session, we'll try to understand how we can write a conditional logic in PL by SQL. And also, we'll also understand about how do we iterate set of statements using the loops concept in PL by SQL. So there are two things we'll discuss. One is conditional logic information as well as iteration one. And also we deal about basic set of cursors and also DML statements with the respective conditional logic. So as we know that PL by SQL requires good amount of SQL logic involved, and most of the times we perform the DML operations inside the PL by SQL, and also we can mention DDL statements, but generally we don't prefer to mention the DDL statements inside the PL SQL. But there are a couple of cases where you come across to mention the DDL commands in the PL by SQL also. Okay, so now let's deal about how do we retrieve any information from a database table in PL by SQL. So we know that the only way you can retrieve data from database table is using select statement, nothing but SQL query. That's the only one which is having capability to enough to retrieve the data from database table. PL by SQL on its own does not have any capability. We have to use select statement. So there are a couple of ways of retrieving data. Generally, we call it as cursor. So using cursors is the only way we can get the information. So cursors again divided into multiple three things. One is implicit cursor, explicit cursor, as well as ref cursor. So this particular select statement with into clause, we call it as implicit cursor. So here, if you observe, we just mentioned select list into followed by the list of variables from a particular table and where condition is required. So here, what exactly it says is like when we just need to make sure that you whatever the select list which you mentioned, that should be assigned to the set of variables. Because one simple example, let's observe before understanding about this one. Let us say I'll just write a particular select statement like let's say first name, employee ID from employees. So this particular query will retrieve 106 rows, right? So we have around 108, 108 rows. Now let us say if I want to write the same statement in PL by SQL, how do we handle it? That's what we're trying to discuss now. So, but let us assume that as of now, we just want to discuss about only retrieving only one row. Here, if you observe, mention the note, this particular query, when you mention into clause, it has to fetch only one row. If it fetches more than one row, that will not work in the PL by SQL logic. We have to deal with explicit cursor. So this particular one, which is with into clause, we call it as implicit cursor, which is capable enough to retrieve only one row and it can retrieve multiple columns. So now that's the reason what I want to do is I just want to mention where row num less than 2. This is one way of retrieving only one row, and other way also you can try to do it, right? Where you can mention employee ID with the appropriate number. Okay, now assume this is my query. Now this query, if I want to mention in my PL SQL, how do we retrieve it? So when I execute the statement in the SQL window, here if you observe, I just wrote a simple select statement, so nothing but it's a SQL window, right? When I execute it, the query result is getting shown automatically in a query result window of the SQL developer. Similarly, now I'll just copy the same query and I'll write a DBMS program and PL SQL program, anonymous block program. Assume this is my program. Now I just wrote this information here, line number 3 and 4. When you execute this PL by SQL program, this particular PL SQL engine should know that, okay, it will execute the line 3 and 4, but where it has to show, it cannot show because this is not a SQL program. This is PL by SQL program. So that's where we have to mention the appropriate variables to handle the output of your query. So that is where the cursor variable will come into picture, right? So I'll just say SQL into sample.sql. Now, the only change we have to do it, let us say, let's execute and see what is error it will display and then we'll modify it. Okay, it says that into clause expected in the select statement and it's mentioned some error number, right? What it is saying, cell line 3, column 2, and into clause expected in the select statement, usually a PL SQL compilation error. So most of the times if you observe the error, it may tell what is the error and doesn't provide the resolution. That is one important thing. Sometimes, yes, it provides a valuable input where you can directly recognize the error. Okay, in some cases it doesn't provide. That's where the difficulty things will come into picture. Now, as per our understanding, we just need to declare two variables, declare. So what I'll do is v underscore first name. Assume that I don't know the data type of this particular column. I am assuming this is varchar of 30 characters or 25 characters or maybe 150 characters. But if I don't know the exact data type of that, the best thing is remember table name dot column name percentile type. This is where we have to use this kind of logic. When you don't know the exact data type of that particular column, rather than wasting your memory or rather than getting into issues, the best and easiest thing is just declare a variable with the table name dot column name percentile type. This is one of the easiest way. And also now here we what we mentioned in the select clause, I mentioned two columns. So obviously in the select star from, right, select star. So what is syntax here? If you observe, select star into then from and all the stuff. So the select star into. So what is the first column we have? We have first name. I'll just say v underscore first name, v underscore employee ID. Now these two variables will hold the respective values. Let's execute again. Yes, it compiled successfully, but we don't see any output regarding this particular variables because we have not written any output for them. Right. So let me write the value for here. Let me just change this one. Okay, I could not see the window properly, or maybe, yeah, I'll just keep this here. I don't require history as of now. Yeah, this is best thing, I guess. Now I'll just print here. So if you want to print any variable value, what you can do is just need to mention the variable value like this directly. Okay, if you want to display some information text in there, you just need to concatenate. Now the value variable, the employee name is Z1U and the employee ID is 256. So this is how we can do it. Now one issue, I'll just show you one issue here. Most of the times I prefer to discuss about errors because that's how we can learn more things. Because if everything goes very easily, you'll not come across the real understanding of a programming language. Now let us say, I was telling you that as per the note which I mentioned in this one, if the query returns more than one row, your program will fail into error, right? But let's see, is it true or not, right? What I can do is, I'll just comment this one and now execute this one and see what is the thing it will tell you. Okay, so it tells you that, it clearly tells you that the exact fetch returns more than one row, right? Exact fetch returns more than returns more than requested number of rows, and this is a number, and this is error number, right? Line number 7. So by this you need to here it mentioned here, if you observe the cause and action also mentioned, it mentioned the cause and action. What you have to do is, it also mentioned what you have to do, rewrite the query or change the number of rows requested. So it provided the issue and it also provided the solution. Okay, sometimes it is very good also, it provides the clarity. Now next, we saw this example, I'll just skip this one. Next, manipulating data using PL by SQL. So the way you write normal DML statement outside of your PL SQL program, the same way you can write it. Here, if you observe, I just mentioned delete from employees, it will delete total data. Okay, and this is how we can make use of DML statement inside the PL SQL. Now, SQL cursor, as we discussed, there are three types of cursor. Here I mentioned only two types, but three types are there: implicit, explicit, as well as ref cursor. We'll not get into detail of SQL cursor because we'll have a dedicated session for SQL cursor, which is one of the very important thing. Without cursors, we cannot write any PL SQL logic at all. It's of no use. You can't write any logic without any data information in the PL by SQL. The select into clause, we just now discussed about one of the sample, right? So here, if you observe the colon, whenever you mention colon and variable name, it's pretty much SQL star plus example, which is very old type of example. Okay, we don't want to discuss this one. Yeah. Now coming to the important part of the SQL, the conditional logic. How do you implement a conditional logic? So there are different set of keywords which are available. One of the pretty much famous one is if condition logic, which is available in all the programming language, coming from C to Python or even Java, ASP, Perl, whichever language you consider, you will have this kind of conditional logic available everywhere. So here, if you observe, we mentioned when you write an if block, at least it requires one condition. If condition, then a keyword, then list of business logic statements, then end if. Okay, now we'll just write one simple example with only if sample, then we can write a couple of other samples also. Okay, let us save this one. I'll just open a new worksheet. Cool. Okay, let me get my location. I just want to save all the things here. If sample1.sql. Now I just want to design a simple sample with only if condition. Okay, now I'll just declare a variable v underscore name varchar to 100. Okay. Hey, I'll just say if length of v underscore name is equal to 3, then display, okay, dbms output dot put underscore line, a valid name can proceed further. So what I'm trying to do is I just declared a variable with a variable name v underscore name, data type varchar 200. Even though I just assigned only 3 characters, I just declared a variable with which is capable enough to hold 100 characters. And then what I'm doing is in the if condition, in the if, when you want to write an if conditional logic in the PL by SQL, it requires a condition. And here is equal to means the operator is equal to is nothing but comparison operation. Okay, don't confuse with other programming languages. Is equal to in PL SQL is nothing but comparison, right? And for assignment, if you want to assign a value, colon is equal to is an assignment operator in the PL by SQL. So here, if you observe line number 2, I mentioned colon equal to nothing but assignment operator. You're assigning a value to a variable. And in line number 6, I'm comparing it. Okay, you can validate. And yep, we got some issue. DBMS, yeah, the spelling mistake. DBMS. Let's enable output also. I'll clear log. Yep, it says valid name. Now let's say I'll just change this one, hello 123. Now see what will happen, whether this if condition will get evaluated or not, right? I'll just let me clear this. Yeah, can you see there is no output because now the value, the length is, you can also print the length if you want to just do some more information. What you can do, underscore output dot put underscore line, length of variable is concatenation v underscore name. Now we can easily understand, okay, what is happening here, right? And also if you want to still have some more clarity, what you can do, you can say after if, before if, like that you can add up logic. So when you're writing for the first time, always have, not only for first time, whenever you write it, this is one of the easiest way, this is the best way to debug any of your PL by SQL program. Write before condition, write after condition, write inside condition, so that you can easily understand till where your program went, right? That's how you need to understand the flow. So using this particular if condition, I can change the flow of my program to enter into a loop, to get out of a loop, to enter into some logic, and to get out to some logic. Now here if you observe, it went before, it went after also, but let's see whether it went inside. We can have one more statement inside. Using this you can easily understand, right? I'll just say start. Okay, I'm just writing more comments to understand in a very easier manner. Now here if you see start, length of variable, before if and after if, so easily we can understand this did not get into inside if, right? But let's see whether it's correct or not. Length of variable is hey 123. No, we want to print the length, right? We want to print the length, so we just mention length function. So there are few functions which you can, which works directly in the PL by SQL. The SQL functions which are there, there are few things which work directly also. Okay, it says len, okay, the variable the function name is wrong, length, right? If you observe, like whenever it observes any keywords, the color got changed. Variable value, length of variable is 6, nothing but the characters, which is 6. Now let's say I'll change this one, I'll make it as 2, I will make it as 3, and let's see whether this time it enters to the loop or not, right? That's what we want to validate. Before if condition, inside if condition, valid name, and after if. So this is how we can easily trace out when you are debugging any of your program. Have good number of debug statements so that you can easily trace out the bug in a very easier manner. Don't worry that we are writing large number of unnecessary statement. Yes, if everything works, simply comment it and you can remove it. Now let's write one more condition. Here if you observe, we have else if. When you have multiple conditions, right? If you just have only one condition, you can simply use if condition. If you have two conditions, you have to use if and else. I mean if condition, then use else statement. If you have three conditions or more than two conditions, then use if, else if, ELSIF. It is not ELSEIF, it is ELSIF. Okay, let's write a set of statements. Let's say I'll write one more sample with multiple statements, like multiple conditions, right? I'll just say declare begin end. Let's say I just want to find out the discount based on my invoice amount. Invoice amount sorry, number. Okay, I'll just declare here itself. Let us say invoice amount is 1050. Okay, let us 1500 and v underscore discount. I want to calculate the discount based on my invoice information. Okay, invoice, total invoice amount. That's how generally you get it, right? In the real time also. If sample 2. So let's say that I have 4 business conditions. Okay, if it is greater than 1000, if it is greater than 1000, there is one discount. If it is greater than 750 and less than or equal to 1000, one particular discount. Let us say if it is greater than or equal to 500 and less than 750, there is one condition, and this is the finally else one. Okay, nothing but less than 500. Okay, these are the 4 business conditions I have. So first condition, I'll just comment as of now. Second condition, I mean third and fourth, right? So these are the total 4 conditions I have. Now let's write one by one condition. If invoice amount, let us say we'll also have a final amount. Final amount. Okay. Now I'll just write if invoice underscore amount is greater than, what we want to do, we want to say if invoice amount is greater than 100, 1000, then better you have parentheses so that you can easily trace, I mean, read for readability purpose, I mean to say. Discount, what is a discount now? Discount is equal to how much percentage? Okay, we'll also have percentage, right? 15, 10, 5, and then 1. Okay, so else is 1, it is 5, oh 1 2 3 4 5 we have, right? So let's say 1, let us come from here. 15 discount, 10% discount, 5% discount, okay, and 2% discount. Let's say now the discount percentage, it is 15% discount, and similarly you can just copy paste and see, check the log, change the logic. ELS I have, if invoice amount is greater than, what is the condition? If it is greater than 750, greater than 750 and less than or equal to 1000, this is 1000 not 100, okay, this 1000, then discount is equal to 10%. Okay, here and will not work, you have to use this variable. Okay, invoice amount. No. Okay, yeah, based on some different programming language, you'll have this little bit syntax, syntactical or keywords different, just bear with that carefully. Similarly, I'll just say now which one, greater than or equal to 500, less than 750. So now, and now the discount is 5, else v underscore discount is equal to 2%. Okay, by default you want to give 2% every time if the less than, if the amount is less than how much, if it is less than 500. Now finally the final price is v underscore final amount is equal to v underscore invoice amount minus v underscore discount by 100, right? Final invoice amount to be paid, v underscore final amount, and now write the discount information also. You'll understand which condition it entered, right? The discount percentage is, mention the v underscore discount. Now we can easily understand where it went, right? Now as per our business logic, as per the logic which we have written, let me clear this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the value of it is 1500. The expectation is that it has to get into 15% discount, and 15% discount is nothing but 1500 minus 225, right? At least around 1275 will come across. Let's see what will happen now. Okay, very good. We got some issue, and identifier v invoice amount. It's saying that it is not able to identify, it could not identify, but which line number? It clearly mentioned the line number 9. Simply go to line number 9. Yeah, everywhere we mention it as wrong, right? Yeah, so this is a mistake for copy paste, but sometimes it is advantage, sometimes it is a disadvantage also. It's okay. Completed successfully, and the discount is 15%, and it says the invoice amount to be paid is 14.99. Is it correct? It is not buy, right? Discount. Invoice amount. Okay, this calculation is totally wrong. What I mentioned is wrong, isn't it? Like this. Amount minus amount into discount percentage by 100. Now see the value. Okay, 1275. This is the correct amount. Okay. Now let's try for one more variable and we'll just check the other sample. Now this time I'll just want to see the least invoice value and see how much percentage I get it. Yep, 2%, and 2% of 4450 is how much? 9, right? So I'm getting a discount of 9 rupees. You can also print the discount amount and all those things you can try to print it. Yep. So that's all about if condition logic. You can use single if condition, you can use if else, or you can use if else if and else also. It's not that like when you have if else if, you should also have else. There's nothing like that. Yep, we saw the sample. Yep. Other thing is case. So it is almost similar to the if condition, but here if you observe, we cannot use any of the what's comparison stuff here. It just tries to validate only equal to. It cannot have a range condition. I mean to say greater than, less than. That kind of logic cannot be done using case condition. So that's a disadvantage of case condition. So case condition evaluates direct comparison. Nothing but now here if you observe, grade is equal to case salary, it takes a value as 25,000, and when that salary variable is equal to first condition, I think when salary is equal to 25,000, then it prints A. If it is 15,000, it prints B, else it is C, right? So that's how the case works. Yep. Coming to the very important one, the loops concept. Most of the programming languages, C language, Java language, it supports these three kinds of loops. Even PL/SQL also supports these three loops: basic loop, for loop, and while loop. So which one is better? It all depends upon which kind of logic you want to get into. But most of the times, all the loops will be able to achieve all the things. But in some situations, basic is better. In some situation, for loop is very good. In some situations, while loop is very best. I mean, the best one. So it depends upon which business logic or which kind of logic you're writing. Okay. Now get into basic loop, and here the syntax of basic loop is very simple. It has two keywords: loop and end loop. So you just need to write whenever you come across with the key in the samples which I'm seeing. When you see statement 1, it means that the business logic you have to write it. When you say business logic, what do you mean by that? So it can be nothing but like some kind of business requirement you have to implement using the PL/SQL logic, right? That's what we call it as business logic, business logic, I mean to say. So this is here if you observe, this is called exit condition loop. I mean to say, you'll enter the loop and this will get iterated, and you can come out of the loop only when the exit condition is satisfied. Entrance is free, but exit is charged. Exit for exit, it will validate the condition. For entry, it does not check the condition. Okay. Now see the sample here. Here if you observe, what it is saying, we have a variable called v counter, and we have a just keyword called loop and end loop. And here what are we trying to do? We are just iterating the loop until unless when the counter variable reaches the 5. When the counter variable reaches the value 6, it will come out of the loop. That's how it is trying to evaluate, right? So what I'll do is I'll just close these all things which are not required. Okay, good. Now I'll just I'll just design that particular basic loop sample. So let's say declare begin and end. That's it. Similar logic, I just want to print b underscore count number is equal to 0, loop, end loop. Okay. When do I want to exit? If you don't mention exit, let's see what will happen. Okay. Hopefully my system should not stuck. Okay. Better I'll not design that logic right now. I'll design that while in the end. So yeah, dbms underscore output dot put underscore line, we count. Okay. Now increment the count, we count is equal to v underscore count plus 1. Then exit when v underscore count is greater than 6. Okay. Now let's see what will happen. So here if you observe, first time it printed 0 because the value of 0, the value of this variable is 0. Then it got incremented by 1. Then late that went till 5 times and 6 time also. Now let us say, assume there's a value of the variable is 6 and it became 7 and it came out when the value of the variable is 7, right? And how do you validate that, right? You can simply validate like this. You can just say after variable, after loop, see the count. Then you can easily understand what we are talking about is correct or not. After loop, we count the 6. That's it. Okay. So this is how we can design a simple basic loop. Now, similarly, we'll just design the other one, while loop. So this while loop is called an entry condition loop. Nothing but it will work only the condition is satisfied. Now let us say if your entrance condition is not satisfied, you will not get inside the loop. Okay. Now if you observe the sample here, similar one, we count the variable is initial, the value of variable is 1, and it just prints that. And whenever the value is satisfied, then only it will enter the loop. Nothing but when it reaches 6, it will come out of the loop. Nothing but this loop should execute 6 times, right? That's how it is. I'll just copy the same logic. I mean, same set of information here. I'll just say while loop sample, everything is same. This also same, right? But here we don't have, if you observe what is the difference, only thing is you just have while condition instead of exit condition. Instead of this exit condition, this we have entrance condition. While, okay, while here if you observe the condition, we are writing in a different way. Count is less than 6. Okay, that's the difference. Observe carefully. Last time we mentioned when exit when it is greater than 6, but here entry when the count is less than 6. That's the difference. Okay. Functionality is almost same. But what you want to achieve is different. Right here, if you observe, this came out of the loop when the value is reaching 6. Till 5 printed. After that, it got incremented by 1, and then it came out. Okay. Let us say if you have requirement to print the values till 7, then what you can till 8. Till 7. What you can do? Then mention less than 8. So 7 is less than 8. Till 7, it will print the values. That's how it will work. Till 7 it work, and outside the loop the value of variable is 8. Okay, so this is all about while loop. While loop is an entry condition, and you just make sure that the variable gets updated, else it will run indefinitely if the condition is satisfied always. Okay, for loop, this is one of the very interesting loop in all the programming languages. The reason is it has the increment condition by default, it declares the variable by default. Okay, and also it has a conditional logic within the for loop itself. You don't need to mention explicitly. Let's see the sample directly here. If you observe, there's no declaration section also I mentioned, but in reality you have to mention. Okay, so we just have a variable for variable in, we just mentioned the lowest to highest range. That's it. It is getting incremented by automatically. Here if you observe the syntax, what we mentioned, lower bound to upper bound. So in this particular PL by SQL, we doesn't need to mention how much you want to increment. By default it will get incremented by 1. So that is one advantage as well as a disadvantage. But in sometimes if you want to increment by 2 or 3, 5 kind of thing, then this will not work. You have to use while loop only. This works only if you want to increment the value of variable by 1. Okay, now let's see the for loop. I'll just directly go with begin. Okay, for I in 1.5. Okay, loop end loop, right? That's it. dbms underscore output dot put underscore line I. Okay, and see the output. Okay, there are a few interesting things I want to show you now. Let's say this particular I can be accessed till your loop only. After loop it will not be available. Observe here, after loop it is not available, it will get into error. Okay, I must be declared, it says. Other thing I want to tell you, let us say in the declare section, assume that I declare a variable called I, and observe what will happen now. Observe what will happen now. So what it is saying, so whatever the variable which you declared in this for loop, it is not even considering this one, right? Let us see, even if I am using I is equal to 4, and see what will happen now. Can you see? Even the value of variable which is used inside the for loop is I, but the variable which this loop is considering is totally different from the variable I which is there here. So better don't try to play with PL by SQL. It is very dangerous here, because here if you observe, the value of I is 5, but here if you observe, the value of I is 4. So how it is related? There is no way it is related. That's why whatever the variable which you use in for loop, that is only for loop, indicatively for loop, it gets incremented, initialized, and check the condition automatically. Okay. Yep, we discussed this one. Nested loops and labels. Yeah, nested loop is nothing but writing a loop inside another loop. Okay, it's called nested loop. And yeah, so we already discussed about the, what you say, the block names, right? So we know that block scope we have, if at all, whatever the variable which is available in child, that will have a child scope. The variables which are declared in the outer, you'll have a parent scope. If you want to refer the variable of parent, you have to mention your parent block name, your particular parent dot name dot the variable name. That's how we can access the value. Here if you observe, there are two blocks we have it. So now declare is my outer variable, and begin, here we mention outer, then here we mention inner, and here if you see here, okay. So yeah, so these kind of things are very rarely used. Okay, but it just kind of, like information sharing purpose, like better when you are declaring a variable, always make sure that the scopes will come into picture, and declare the variables accordingly, so that you'll not get into unnecessary errors. Okay, so as of now we just discussed only about the if conditional logic and implicit cursor logic and loops concept. So there are some other things which we'll be discussing in the next coming sessions. Thank you.